Hello Brain Shakers, welcome to the Brain Shakers Academy. Brave Alice is here. Now we've started looking at the cardiovascular system and we've already done a video on the applied anatomy to the cardiovascular system, and if you haven't looked at that video, as we look at the circulation of blood in adult circulation or through the heart, it is also imperative that you do check out that video as well on the applied anatomy so you understand and know the structures that are involved in the circulation. You can find that video on my YouTube channel, which is Brain Shakers Academy. Now let's get right into it and look at today's session, which is adult circulation, or how blood then flows through the heart and then is pumped or pushed to the rest of the body. Let's dive right into it. So I have drawn a diagram with me here that is going to help us understand that smooth flow of blood throughout the heart. So we also understand that once blood has then been utilized in the body, be it on the upper part of the body or in the lower portion of the body, it means that that blood is obviously containing deoxygenated, or it is rather deoxygenated blood containing a higher amount of carbon dioxide than it contains oxygen. So the lungs play a key role in making sure that the oxygen and carbon dioxide within the circulatory system or within the blood that flows throughout the system is well coordinated and well controlled. So meaning blood has then to flow to the lungs for oxygenation and then brought back to the heart, and then the process continues. Now the heart plays key role in making sure that the blood that circulates throughout our systems is then sent or passes throughout the lungs and then is oxygenated there and then returned back to the heart. Then the heart pumps it out to all the other structures that actually need oxygen, as well as pumping to its muscles as well that need the oxygen in order for it to be able to continue with its functionality. Now, you will also understand that as blood is flowing, so the superior vena cava collects all the deoxygenated blood from the upper portion, and that is why it is called superior. So blood is obviously going to be flowing in that direction, coming into what we call the right atrium. So blood is coming into the right atrium. The same is happening with the inferior vena cava here. It is collecting all the deoxygenated blood from the lower portion, bringing into the right atrium throughout its opening here. So blood comes into the right atrium, meaning that as blood comes into the right atrium, the pressure in the right atrium also is going to then increase. So once blood then gets through to the right atrium, it will have to get through the tricuspid valve into the right ventricle. So this blood then flows into the right ventricle, and when there is muscular contraction, the right ventricle, when it contracts, it pushes that blood straight through the pulmonary valve. So blood is going to pass through the pulmonary valve and then will be pushed to pass through the openings of the pulmonary artery. Now, the pulmonary artery is considered as the only artery that is carrying deoxygenated blood, and then the pulmonary veins are considered to be the only veins that are carrying oxygenated blood. So you can see how the pulmonary artery is well connected into the right ventricle, where deoxygenated blood is going to be pumped from. So as the blood is pumped into the pulmonary artery, the blood then goes to the left lung and also to the right lung. So blood which is deoxygenated is going to the lungs this side to go and be oxygenated. So once the gaseous exchange now has happened within the lungs, meaning that the blood that had a higher amount of carbon dioxide has now been changed and has or contains a higher amount of oxygen, it will then have to leave the lungs and get back to the heart. Now, how does it leave leave the lungs and get back to the heart. It leaves the lungs and gets back to the heart through the pulmonary veins. So the pulmonary veins now are going to be carrying oxygenated blood from the lungs and back to the left atrium. So the two openings here are for the pulmonary veins that are emanating from the left lung, and the other two openings here are for the two pulmonary veins that are coming from the right lung. So oxygenated blood then comes into the right end. So we have blood obviously coming in here. This is oxygenated blood that is coming through the pulmonary veins, and then it will come out on these openings here and will be channeled down through the left atrioventricular valve, which is also known as the bicuspid valve, and blood then gets to the left ventricle. Okay, now when blood gets into the left ventricle and there's a ventricular contraction, so the ventricular contraction is then going to push that blood to pass through the aortic valve straight into the aorta. Okay, now we did mention that the aorta on its a portion here where it is going to emanate from, it has what is referred to as an ascending aorta, the arc of the aorta, and then we obviously have a descending aorta. So where you have the ascending portion of the aorta, two vessels also are going to emanate. So you have your aorta coming out there, you have two arteries that are going to open up within the aorta. One is going to be the left coronary artery, and then the one which is on the right will be called the right coronary artery. Now these two coronary arteries are the ones that are responsible for supplying blood to the heart itself, so that it has the oxygen that it needs to be able to generate all the energy, the ATPs that it needs for it to continue its function of getting that blood being pumped to all the other parts of the body. And then you have blood then going through the arc of the aorta, then supplying blood to the right side of the arm, which is the brachial, and then also to the right side of the head, which is the cephalic regions as well, through the right carotid or right common carotid arteries. And then you have also the left common carotid arteries, and then the left subclavian arteries supplying the left arm as well. Then this blood will get through to the descending aorta. Now when it gets to the descending aorta, a number of arteries are going to emanate from the descending aorta to supply various other organs. So you have vessels that are going to the various organs and supplying them with blood that is rich in oxygen. In the same vein, you have also veins that are coming from those structures and finding their way to the superior vena cava or to the inferior vena cava, and then blood is brought back to the right atrium. So all the blood that then comes through the descending aorta, in the descending aorta here, you have a region where it is going to bifurcate into the iliac arteries, and then from the iliac arteries you have internal iliac arteries and the external iliac arteries. Still you have branches there that will then supply every other part of the body. So all the parts and structures within the body are going to be supplied by the functioning or the functionality of the ventricles. When they then contract and then push that blood at higher pressure through the major vessel, which is the aorta, then supply blood to all the regions. And when the blood has then been utilized and then contains higher amounts of carbon dioxide, that blood will need to come back to the heart so that it can then be resent to the lungs again for that process of respiration to occur. And then you have another you have another bunch that is coming through back to the heart again with higher amounts of oxygen. So basically that is how blood is going to flow within the heart. That is how deoxygenated blood is going to be sent to the lungs for oxygenation, and after oxygenation has happened, blood that is high in oxygen content then comes back to the heart and is redistributed to all the other structures. So basically that is what happens. Now if you found this particular video interesting, don't hesitate to give me thumbs up, drop me comments in the comment section. I would like to hear what you think, and do please follow and subscribe to the YouTube channel, which is the Brain Shakers Academy. And thank you so much for watching, and from me it is bye for now, and I will see you in the next one.